And welcome back to Thursdays with Charlie, April the 29th, 2021. This is our 50th show. We have done this now for 50 weeks. Congratulations to all of you who have stood by us watching, and I hope we keep coming back because we're going to go for 100. We're going to keep going. A couple of good things happening that I want to mention over here on May 1st, which is this Saturday. A lot of new restrictions, or actually lack of restrictions, go into place. And so we have no need this week to take reservations because we no longer need your phone numbers or your names for Mass. That's a wonderful thing. We've come that far. As I said at Mass over this past weekend, you can now come to Mass anonymously. We don't have to know who's there at every turn of the way. We are going to continue opening the church 25 minutes before Mass. And of course, you know that from 20 minutes before each Mass till Mass time, we hear confession. So if anybody would like to use that opportunity for the sacrament of confession, please don't hesitate to just tap me on the shoulder if I'm out in the hallway or if I'm out on the patio or whenever. Masks still do have to be worn, so bring your face diapers. We have to keep those handy for us. But we're beyond, we don't have to do temperatures anymore. We don't have to do names anymore. We don't have to do phone numbers anymore. So we are definitely on the upswing and doing well. The restriction for distancing is reduced to 3 feet apart, so you can sit with your families, but keep those family groups 3 feet from the next family group over. We're very, very happy about these changes coming into effect. Of course, we remind you again that we began last week keeping the office closed on Fridays, except for Mass, so the 8 o'clock Mass on Friday, and then the office will remain closed for that day. We'll take a break. Want to thank you very much for your support for the Bethlehem Woodcarvers last week. We had them over in the Garza Center, and lots of people went over to see the beautiful olive wood works that they have. Also to see the beautiful Garza Center, and of course to take photos with the penguin. I think that is the most photographed penguin in Laughlin for sure. But we do thank you for your support for Bethlehem Woodcarvers. They do have beautiful work, and we will invite them back to join us perhaps around Christmas time this year. They had a good time being down here with us, and we loved having them as well. I want to remind you that this coming weekend, which will be the first weekend in May, you'll see in our bulletin a notice about the Mother's Day Novena of Masses, which will begin the following weekend. As you know, a novena is a series of 9 things. So every year for the past several years, we've done a novena of Masses beginning on Mother's Day, and we've done a novena of Masses beginning on Father's Day. On Mother's Day, it'll begin with 9 Masses beginning that day and continuing through the following week and Monday. And those Masses will be the ones we say here at church, or those days that I'm not here at church or we don't have a scheduled Mass, I will offer those Masses privately at home on those days, so that we'll keep the 9 sequence going. We do ask if you'd like to have your mother or your grandmother or your godmother or your aunt or your sister or any other female relative or friend. Perhaps even you might want to remember some of your female teachers from back in the past. If you were fortunate enough to have nuns teaching you in grade school or high school, perhaps some of them you would like to have remembered. Just write them down on the form that's going to be in the bulletin and try to get that form back to us prior to the following weekend. If you want to drop it off or mail it back to church, would be great. We're going to put the names that come in on the altar. If they don't come in until the following Sunday when the novena begins, we'll put them on the first day that we get them out of the envelope. But it's a good way to remember those who have been important in our lives. Mother's Day for all the females, Father's Day for all the males. We'll go through that all over again. We look forward to it very much, and it's kind of nice, I found, to reflect on the females and males in my lives who have made a difference in my life, and to jot them down and to remember them on those particular novenas that we're going to have. This weekend, we also get to celebrate, and as I mentioned last weekend, we celebrate First Holy Communion with 4 of our parish children. They're going to be receiving Jesus for the very first time at the 8 o'clock Mass on Sunday this weekend, which will be the 2nd of May. We look forward to that very, very much. And of course, when I think about that, I decided that, wow, I should think back and look back for my own First Holy Communion. And I found 2 pictures from my First Holy Communion, one of which I think I've shown you before. That's me in my white communion suit on my First Communion Day, which was in May of 1955. I don't remember the exact date, but I do remember the month and the year, May of 55. And so that's what I looked like with hair that had color. And of course, the tradition at the time was that the girls wore white dresses and the boys wore white suits, and that was my communion suit. In case you're curious, when I grew up, I kept that communion suit because I do have some pack-rack tendencies. And when my cousin, many, many years later, was going to be receiving his First Holy Communion, I gave my communion suit to my mother, who gave it to his mother, who was my aunt, and my cousin Mark wore my white communion suit for his First Holy Communion, and that was down in North Carolina. When I was looking for pictures of First Communion, I found this picture, which I don't think I've shown you before. It's my mother and father with me on my communion day. It's one of the really good pictures I have of my parents. It's a little bit faded in color, but I was glad to have found it. It brought back so many happy memories. And that was in our backyard in North Arlington, New Jersey, on a particular day in May of 1955 when I got dressed up in my suit. I was very glad to wear it. You may notice that my mother has a beaver jacket on, and I think I showed you that during one of the earlier shows. I still have that beaver jacket, which became a beaver stole, and eventually it's probably going to become a beaver table liner or something like that, because I do want to keep it around. Also, good news, we have planned our first show for the Garces Center, and that will be on Sunday, the 23rd of May at 4 o'clock in the afternoon. We're going to be going back to doing regular shows, and we have the beautiful new Garces Center to do them in. Our first show is going to be John Rodolini, a magician out of Las Vegas. John is a good buddy of mine, and he asked when we were building the building if he could be the first show in the new building, and I gladly said yes, and looking forward very much. The show is going to be called In Plain Sight, because he's going to do things right in front of your plain sight that will mystify and amaze you. And I hope we all have a really great time. I'll have more details on that show when I see you at Mass over the weekend, and tickets will go on sale on Mother's Day weekend. Not this weekend, but tickets will go on sale Mother's Day weekend. Now, I mentioned at the very beginning, this is our 50th show, so I wanted to find things that had to do with the number 50 to talk about today. And the first thing I thought about was my 50th birthday. Well, that was many years ago. Matter of fact, it was the 19th of January, 1998. And on my 50th birthday, I decided, I was assigned to a parish in New Jersey, I decided that I wanted to spend my 50th birthday in Las Vegas. And so I tried to figure a way, how could I justify just flying out to Vegas in the middle of January? And I came up with a wonderful idea. I said, I'll get a parish trip together and see if we can get a group. And so 34 of my parishioners and I, along with my mom, came out to Las Vegas to celebrate my 50th birthday. We had a great time, We went to see, on my birthday evening, Lance Burton at the Monte Carlo, the Lance Burton Theater. We had a super time at the show, and Lance came and spoke to my whole group, and we had a wonderful time at the show. That was an awesome time as well. And then we went over to the Rio Hotel, and the Rio was beautiful. It was relatively new. It had only been up for 3 years at that point. And we went to the Beach Cafe and we had a birthday party. My 50th birthday party after the Lance Burton show was at the Beach Cafe in the Rio Hotel in Las Vegas, Nevada. And I invited, besides the 34 parishioners who came along with me from New Jersey, I invited some of my Vegas friends to join us. And 2 of my friends that came were circus clowns. One was Laura the Clown, and she at the time worked at Ron Lee's World of Clowns in Las Vegas, which is not there anymore. Actually, I think it was out in Henderson, but it was a beautiful, fun spot to go and visit. And she brought along another friend of hers who was also a friend of mine named Shan Ingleby. And Shan is probably one of the finest persons I've seen who works with balloons as a clown. Does an amazing job. Well, we had our 34 people plus a few of our Las Vegas guests, and we had the 2 clowns, Laura and Shan, and they decided to clown around actually at the party. It was a lot of fun, and Shan made innumerable balloon animals and balloon things for the people, and not only for the 34 people that I brought with me from New Jersey, but everybody in the restaurant kind of joined in and had fun, and it was a great, great night. In fact, I got a wonderful compliment at the end of the evening. One of the other guests, whom I have no idea who it was, came over to me, and his comment was, "I don't know who you are, but you have really great friends." And I thought that was a really good assessment because I agree. I have really, really great friends. And that was my 50th birthday. But probably the thing that we can all associate with the number 50 is we have 50 states in the United States. I remember Perry Como, a wonderful entertainer back in my past, and he would have a segment on his show every week where he would highlight one of the states. And I always used to look forward, and they had a really catchy theme song, 50 Nifty United States from 13 Original Colonies. It was kind of catchy and beautiful, and I used to look forward to it every week. So I decided that for today's show, since it's our 50th show, I'd like to look up some information about our states and maybe make it a little trivia thing. And so the first part of the trivia would be, what was the first state in the United States? And I know there are many guesses because there were 13 original colonies, but the first state is officially Delaware, because Delaware was the first state to approve the United States Constitution. And so they became the first state. In fact, that's one of their nicknames in Delaware, that they are the first state. Then we have 50 states, but we didn't always have 50 states. We started with the 13 original colonies. And so I thought maybe a good trivia question, how many states were added to the United States in the 1900s? And I looked up the list, and you might be surprised that we have added 5 states to the United States in the 1900s. So the 50th state is Hawaii. Hawaii was added to the United States in 1959. It was actually in the fall of 1959. And the 49th state was Alaska, which was added to the United States that same year, only in January. So in 1959, we added 2 states. In January, we added Alaska, and the 50th one, Hawaii, in the September of 1959. The 48th state to be added was Arizona, which was added in 1912. Arizona was added, and in 1912 there were 2 states added also, and the 47th state was New Mexico. So early in the year of 1912, New Mexico was added, and later in the year, the 48th state, Arizona, was added. The only other state added in the 1900s was the 46th state, and that was Oklahoma, was added in 1907. If you ever get a chance to see the wonderful musical Oklahoma, it's really a great tribute to that state. And I had the privilege once of seeing the musical Oklahoma done outdoors at an outdoor theater in Tulsa, Oklahoma. It was probably the most memorable theatrical event that I've ever gotten to attend. The last state to be added in the 1800s was Utah, which was added in 1896, our 45th state. So our flag has changed several times because, as you know, we have 13 stripes, the red and white stripes, but we add a star for every new state. And so in the 1800s, we had gone up to 45, and by 1959, we were up to the present 50 states. Our own state of Nevada is the 36th state, and Nevada was added in 1864 during the Civil War. And our neighboring state of California is the 31st state, and that was added back in 1850. Then I decided, I was curious, and this is how you go down the rabbit hole on the computer, I decided to look up some information about the 3 states that we're most familiar with. And that would be Nevada, where our church is located, Arizona, where a lot of our parishioners are located, and California, where a lot of our parishioners and our visitors regularly are located. We might have to go into doing something about the Midwestern states where a lot of our snowbirds are located, but we'll save that for another show. So for today, I just want to go over some things. I'm going to do one segment on Nevada, and then I'll do the same thing for Arizona, and then I'll do the same thing for California. And I think it's kind of interesting. I found these great trivia questions, and I was kind of curious myself when I went online to look. Well, Nevada, the capital city of Nevada, I think a lot of people might think it's Vegas or Reno, and it's neither. It's Carson City, Nevada, way up in the north. And Nevada has 3.1 million people in our population, and that's up to the 2020 census. So we're a fairly large state and way spread out. Our motto as a state is in English, and our motto is all for our country. That's the state motto of Nevada, all for our country. Very patriotic came in as. We have several nicknames. I think nicknames are curious because they always single out things that are popular or known about the state. And so we're known as the Silver State, and that's because of so much silver mining that took place in Nevada. We're known as the Sagebrush State because there's so much sagebrush growing here. And we're also known as the, Battle-Born State because we came into the Union during the Civil War in 1864. In fact, there's a wonderful story that the entire state constitution was telegraphed letter by letter from Carson City, Nevada to Washington, D.C., and it took 24 hours for that telegraph message to be typed in and sent to Washington, D.C., and that was the Nevada Constitution. We have a wonderful state song in Nevada. Not many people seem to know about it, but it's Home Means Nevada. It's a very beautiful song. It's got a curious melody to it. It definitely concentrates more on northern Nevada than on southern Nevada. So it speaks of the Truckee River, and it speaks of the mountains, and it beautifully describes that particular area. But it's a good song, and if you haven't had a chance to hear it, I certainly encourage you to go online and look up Home Means Nevada. Sometimes it's listed as Home Means Nevada to me. When I was moving here from New Jersey, I put that in our parish bulletin back in New Jersey, and I said to the parishioners that, from now on, I'm going to leave New Jersey, but home means Nevada to me. We have a state animal, and you may not be familiar with this, although we do have some here in Laughlin, and that's the bighorn sheep. is the state animal of Nevada. And every now and then I'm told you can catch a glimpse of a bighorn sheep up in the mountains as you're coming down the highway between Route 95 in Nevada and the Colorado River. I always look up and I always hope to see one, but I have never seen one myself. But I'm told that there are people who do see them and see them quite regularly. Nevada is known for several things, one of which I'm sure everybody is familiar with. We're known for tourism. Not only for gambling, but for shows and entertainment. Coming and being in Nevada, the entertainment capital of the world is the way Las Vegas describes itself. And Reno, the biggest little city in the world, describes itself. And of course, in Laughlin, we have our wonderful set of entertainment along the Colorado River. But Nevada is known for other things too. Besides entertainment and tourism, we're also known for mining. Silver mining, of course, but gold mining. Nevada produces a lot of the world's gold and has produced it in the past and continues to produce gold. So gold mining is a very big thing here in the state of Nevada. And also, we might not expect it so much down here in the southern part of Nevada, but in the north and the wider regions of Nevada, cattle ranching. Nevada is a big cattle ranching state, a beef-producing state in the United States. And of course, our major river, which showed up on Jeopardy a few months ago, is the Colorado River. The beautiful river that flows down all the way through us and all the way down into Mexico. A beautiful, wonderful, powerful symbol, and we have such a nice portion of it here in Laughlin for us to enjoy. Now let's do the same thing for Arizona. Let's take a look. Arizona is a larger state. The capital of Arizona is, and I think most people would guess this, Phoenix, Arizona. Arizona has twice as many people as we have in Nevada. Arizona has 7.15 million people. It's about twice as many as we have in Nevada. Arizona has a wonderful state motto. It's in Latin, and the state motto of Arizona is Ditat Deus. Ditat Deus, which means God enriches. What a beautiful thing. God enriches. He not only keeps things going, he enriches them. He makes them better. It's a good way to look at it, I think. A couple of things about Arizona's nicknames. It's known as the Apache State because the Apache tribe was very, very big in Arizona. It's known as the Copper State because Arizona has produced, and still continues to produce a vast amount of copper for our country and indeed for around the world. And it's known, and I think I've seen this on their license plates as well, as the Grand Canyon State because of that scenic wonder of the world that Arizona has within it and that we can travel to so easily from here. I looked up the Arizona song. I had never heard of an Arizona state song, but the Arizona state song is actually called the Arizona March Song. And I looked up the words to it, and it has kind of a catchy beat to it, almost like a marching rhythm. But the words speak very much of the beauty of Arizona that God has given to it. Very interesting to listen how not only patriotic and descriptive the song is, but how religious in so many ways the song of Arizona is, that the Arizona March Song. It also speaks a lot of the golden sunshine that shines over the state of Arizona, making it so welcoming, especially to people in the winter months. The state animal of Arizona is the ring-tailed cat. I don't think I've ever seen a ring-tailed cat in person, but it's the state animal of Arizona. And Arizona is known for copper mining. Copper mining is the main industry for which Arizona is known. And when I looked up what the major river of Arizona was, it's the Colorado River. It shares that with Nevada. The beautiful Colorado River, which had a lot to do with forming the Grand Canyon, and so it goes together with that. When we come to California, I think most people know that the capital of California is Sacramento, that city kind of mid-state. It's towards the north. California has a monumental population. 39.5 million people live in California. It's almost an economy of a nation on its own. It's so large. Interesting state motto. The motto of California is Eureka. E-U-R-E-K-A, Eureka. That word it's an exclamation of joy, of exultation, of surprise. And the story is that the word Eureka was first uttered by a Greek mathematician, Archimedes. And he was in the bath. And he noticed in the bath that the amount of water that his body displaced was equal to the weight of his body. And that was an important mathematical principle, and it was a eureka moment. We still use that expression in his mind. And according to the legend, Archimedes jumped up out of the bath, totally naked, and ran through the streets of the town in Greece, exclaiming, "Eureka, Eureka, I've found it, I found it." Because of that mathematical principle. We don't know if that legend is true or not, but the word still connotes surprise and awe and ecstasy at finding something new. And California uses that as their state motto. There's actually a small town in Northern California named Eureka, and I've had the privilege of visiting there many, many years ago, and it's a very quaint little mining town in Northern California. California has several nicknames. It's known as the Golden State because of the beautiful shine of the sunshine on it, the gold mining that brought so many people to California as well. It's known as the El Dorado State because, again, of the gold. El Dorado was a legendary city in Spanish tradition. That's the city of gold. California does have a state song, which I have to admit I had never heard. And the song is, "I Love You, California." I love you, California. If you want to get a chance, go online, look it up. It has a really show tune melody to it. It's like something out of a Broadway play or something theatrical, which you would expect from California. It goes back, though, to the turn of the 19th century, goes way, way back to the early 1900s. The state animal of California is the grizzly bear. I don't know if that has anything to do with the fact that the Black Bear Diner I always associate as coming to us from California, although I think it began in another state. But the grizzly bear is the state animal for California. And California, while it's known for many things, is really known now for technology, that Silicon Valley idea, all the new innovations that are coming into our life through technology. A lot of that is coming out of California. And of course, it's known for movies and television and all forms of entertainment. I looked up the major river in California, and it's way up north. It's the Trinity River, the California, named for the Holy Trinity. That's a little romp through 3 of our 50 states. I think we might have to look at some of our Midwestern states and get some ideas on them to share with our visitors who come here for the snowbird season, and also just to go through the 50 states. I think it's kind of fun learning about our great American nation. It's time for Pascal to join us, and Pascal comes down, and I thought it was particularly appropriate that we should use the motto from Arizona. Ditat Deus, God enriches. God not only keeps things in being, he makes them better. With that thought, God bless and have a wonderful week.